Brothers and sisters, angels and demons, we are gathered here today to discuss God's heavenly gift unto us, a movie called Relationship Goals, or should I say, the really long-form commercial for the book Relationship Goals, written by Pastor Michael Todd. As some of you know, hi, I'm M. Angel. Welcome to M. Angel Says, and your girl got some thoughts. So we're going to break down the movie. I'm going to be reviewing it as a whole in detail, plot points, acting, cinematography. We're going in all the way, and I'm going to talk about what I liked, what I was puzzled by. So let us play. For those of you who don't know, I am talking about the 2026 movie Relationship Goals, which actually came out like a few days ago, I think. It's featuring Kelly Rowland and Method Man. Very surprising casting choices there, along with a few other actors that I would say are B-list. Another known face in the cast is Matt Walsh, who plays Kelly Rowland's boss. I feel like I've seen Matt Walsh in productions here and there, but where I think he shines best is in the series Ghosts, where he plays a despicable character, a ghost who was sent to HE double hockey sticks. He plays it so well, to perfection. It is so funny. Love that show in general. Highly recommend it if you like good writing, humor, and a sitcom that actually is well written. Another familiar face in the cast, or should I say familiar voice, is the Allstate guy. Now, during the movie, my sister and I were like, wait, is it State Farm or Allstate? Is there a difference? Are those the same company? The State Farm. Sorry, you see, the Allstate guy is part of the cast. He has such a particular voice that every time he was on screen playing Kelly Rowland's character's father, he was often talking about dealing with grief, tragedy, and loss. You know, so I kept waiting for him to pitch Allstate to me.
But you can't outrun grief. Mourning is a process. Now that you know the truth, are you in good hands?
The director of this movie is Linda Mendoza, which sounds Filipino to me. And she apparently has directed a few episodes of the show Blackish and Harlem, which is basically Sex and the City, but in Harlem with Black Americans. That show is so problematic in so many ways, and if you want a review of that show, I could break it down to you. Why? The characters have very problematic love lives. The movie Relationship Goals is, like I said, a commercial, a long-form, extended commercial for the book by the same name, Relationship Goals, written by Pastor Mike Todd. Because that's what the movie is. It is a commercial. It is advertising his book. It is preaching the good word. It is trying to recruit people into Christianity. And as a rom-com, it's surprisingly problematic for a movie that's trying to promote healthy dating, faith-based dating and relationships. What's ironic is the tagline of the book Relationship Goals, or the slogan, if you will, is fix your aim. You know, like bow and arrow. If you aim for the right partner, if you aim for the right things, you will land in the right relationship. It's the idea, right? And for a movie that's about fixing your aim, it completely missed the mark in pitching and depicting healthy relationships in general. So let's get into it. Let me tell you what I think about this movie and why I have so many thoughts. We're gonna start with breaking down cinematography and visuals, which is not really my department, but I'll share my opinions. Then we'll get into the storylines, the writing, the acting, the casting choices. All right, let's dive in. Cinematography and visuals. I would say they did a good job. Pleasant. It's visually pleasant. I'm seeing a lot less cheapness in Black American productions, which I'm really glad to say. It means that they've got a budget, yes, and they're hiring qualified people, and yes, they're being invested in. So that's great. Yay. Claps for progress. That being said, I was still kind of distracted sometimes by some of the visual choices. It was still wonky in its pacing, I would say. I think editing and pacing was off. Some scenes really felt stitched together and not like a movie. Some scenes that were too long, some scenes that were just the framing I felt could have been better worked. Sometimes it was too far when it could have been zoomed in more. Use of music was womp womp, I would say. Sometimes it was upbeat royalty-free music. Sometimes it was probably music owned by Kelly Rowland or, you know, Mike Todd, or I don't know, the people who own the movie, which I get. Hey, oh, I'm not coming for y'all for that, because I know when it comes to royalties and licenses, that is a minefield. I just felt like the music was a bit forgettable. So yeah, like I said, cinematography, visuals, sometimes it was a bit jarring. There was a scene where the main characters are in a diner, and the color grading was giving Stranger Things. So I was kind of anxious because I was expecting a Demogorgon to pop out of nowhere. So that just put me on the edge of my seat for no reason. And then what personally distracted me the most was the fact that our three main character girlfriends, our girlfriends / colleagues, these are three women that I'm pretty sure have different skin colors in real life, but visually they had the same skin tone. It's giving filter is what it was giving. And that was extremely distracting for me and off-putting. Why does everybody look like my skin tone? No, Kelly Rowland is a beautiful chocolatey colored woman. Her Latina friend is a light-skinned, white-skinned woman, I'm pretty sure. And then you had light skin on Viv, who, yes, can be in bougie beige. That is her skin tone. It was giving filter, that's all I gotta say. So I don't know, maybe nobody noticed this kind of thing. I did. But takeaway, like I said, visually, good job. Like, good camera, good color grading overall. And I've seen so many Black American movies where my biggest gripe has been color grading. At least they took some risks. They tried to do things to make the movie look like, I guess, a music video, because you're dealing with musicians as the main actors. And I think Pastor Mike Todd also really loves music and the world of music, and I think he produced some music himself. So yes, there was a lot of callbacks to the world of music videos, which had absolutely no place, especially this one scene, which I still don't understand why this wasn't a deleted scene. And it's just the girls at the club, nobody's there, and they're dancing. For why? Wasting my time, that's why. Okay, moving on from cinematography, let's talk about the writing and the storylines. So, basically, what you need to know about relationship goals. Overall, we are following fierce boss woman, career-driven boss woman. She works for a news channel, and she wants to take her boss's place when he goes out for pasture, for retirement. She thought it was a clean shot, straight shot. However, her boss tells her, oh, we're actually bringing in another potential candidate. He's going to be working alongside you, and then me and the overlords of TV world are going to decide who gets to go and who gets to stay. Of course, because rom-com, the person that they bring on to kind of compete / work alongside her and compete for the same position is her ex, a person that she has dated in the past and who cheated on her. Fun times, very cool. I mean, it's the world of television. I would assume everyone has slept with everyone. They heathens. We all know. I watch the morning show. I know what y'all be up to. And then peppered throughout the movie are the side characters' storylines, and they are our main characters' besties. So one of the girlfriends is light-skinned Aunt Viv, played by Robin Thede. Her character's name is Brenda, but I don't use characters' names, so I'm just gonna call her Viv. Her storyline is that she is dating, or has been in a relationship with, an athlete, a basketball player, for 4 years now, and they haven't moved forward on the wifey track. So she's a WAG, technically, which are wives and girlfriends of athletes. She wants to be the W of the WAG, but for now she's a G. So for now she's just a gag, and that's the gag of it all. And then on the other hand, you've got La Cienega meets Dijonay, played by Annie Gonzalez, the funny character, the loudmouth, spicy Latina. I ain't mad at it. I love me a spicy girl. I'm a spicy girl. So her storyline is that she's single. She's single and apparently plagued with being single, because as you will notice in this movie, it seems to be a curse. It seems to be an illness that you need to heal from, that you need lifted from your soul. You can't be happy in that state. I'm sorry, the way the movie was pushing relationships, the goal was everybody needs to be in one. Except for, like I said, my favorite character, the gay, played by Ray Jamal Swain, which I know I've seen somewhere. Let me check.
A few moments later.
Oh, I must have seen him in Pose, because I was like, you are so familiar. And his comic relief was on point. Great acting. It's not easy to be comic relief. There was a scene, for example, where they attempted to create comedy with Aunt Viv's character. The directing, the writing, the execution was so poor. It wasn't funny. It was cringy. Basically, the three girlfriends in a bar, they're chit-chatting, and the bartender is kind of hearing their conversation, and she's like, woo, down with the patriarchy. Yeah, men suck kind of thing. And she downs a shot, right? Then at the end of their conversation, she comes to their table, this bartender woman, and delivers a shot for free to Kelly Rowland. And then she leaves. And this is when Aunt Viv says,
"Can I be honest? I don't think she works here."
but you see, a show that did comedy well, I think of Insecure. And in that show, they would have had one of the side characters just kind of stay stoic and stare at that woman leave and just calmly utter, "I don't think she works here." And have the other character just go, mm. Mm-mm. And in that kind of delivery, I think it would have been more funny. So like I said, Aunt Viv, La Cienega, and Kelly Rowland all got a love story. Even an unknown side character, he gets thrown into one of the storylines. He's one of the anchors on the news show that Aunt Viv is on. She's co-anchoring her news show, the morning show that she does with this guy, Ted, I think his character's name was. Even Ted gets a love story, but you know who doesn't? The gay. Our dear friend Ryan, who only pops in for comic relief, he doesn't get a life. He doesn't get to be fleshed out. He doesn't get a backstory. He doesn't get romantic anything. He doesn't get wisdom. He doesn't get anything that would resemble depth. All he gets is to be put in at like funny moments or doing his job kind of thing. That's it. This is where I felt the hands of the people behind the scenes. You know, you've got the hands of the person whose book inspires this movie, Michael Todd, who is a pastor, and the Christians, if they're known for one thing, it's not being open to LGBT. They're not down with the homies. And then on the other hand, you have someone like Kelly Rowland, who is a pop star, who is mainstream fan favorite, and a favorite of the gays, okay? Of the LGBT community, okay? They love the girl. So she knows her audience, and she can't be out here telling people, "Oh, I've lined up with the Christians and I've forgotten y'all." It was for the optics. It was for her fan base. She knows. So I felt like that character was just there to tiptoe the line and to be like a PR element. So people can be like, "Oh, okay, well, Kelly Rowland was kikiing with a queer man, so we're good." Now, obviously, we don't know that he's outright queer, but come on now. It's 2026. Okay, I could read between the sass. He could have had a few words on love too. Why is everybody in love? And he was so in love with love when they had the whole Valentine's Day in the office scene. He's so full of love, but he didn't have the right to speak on his personal relationships. You know, in the end, maybe it was a good thing that his love story wasn't in the hand of these writers, because they would have made a fool out of him the way they made a fool out of these women's. Okay, let's start with Aunt Viv. Okay, so Aunt Viv is in a relationship that is stagnant, and apparently, because this movie is a commercial, thanks to reading relationship goals, she comes to the realization that she's not moving under God's watchful eye in the direction of the light. She's been dating this man for 4 years, and they've been cosplaying married life without the covenant, as she calls it, which I hate that word. It sounds so like cult-ish. Oh my God. Covenant. I just see witches, potions, bloodletting, and possession when I hear the word covenant. Okay, so she just kind of realizes by reading this book that, oh, I want to be married, but I am pretending to be married to a person who's not married to me. So I am committed to him, but we haven't officially committed legally nor spiritually / religiously. And apparently she's Christian. I didn't think that was clear until she came across the book. What I appreciated, where it was in alignment with the makings of a healthy relationship, is that homegirl reads the book. She realizes that she's cosplaying a wife, but she isn't actually committed. She realizes that that's what she wants. She wants to be in a marriage, in an officially committed marriage for personal religious, whatever. For whatever reasons, this is what she wants. She's coming to her partner and she's saying, yes, regardless of what has been cool with me up until now, what I've agreed to up until now, I'm bringing this to the table now. I want to move forward. And her partner pushes back, surprisingly. He's kind of like, well, I was fine with how things are. My first reaction would be, why are you against this? If you are so comfortable in everything, the way things are, feeling and acting like we're married, what does getting married cost you? Because he was acting like this was a big deal and it was going to cost him so much. Is it financially? Are you too cheap to buy a ring? Is it the ceremony itself? Is it the commitment part? Is it the officializing part? What is going on? That would raise so many red flags for me that I would just be like, oh, so you've just been playing with me this whole time. If you enjoy things the way they are and me mentioning just officializing things that are already official, that are already happening, causes this much distress in you and this much discomfort, and you're really trying to talk me down from what I actually want, and you're not actually trying to understand where it's coming from, what is it that I want about marriage? Like, where's the real discussion? Where in a healthy relationship, maybe you are blindsided by this because maybe your partner didn't express the desire for marriage up until a certain point. Now you're 4 years in and all of a sudden they're springing this on you one night and you're like, hold up. I didn't know that this is what you wanted, and maybe this is something you personally didn't want, right? It would be natural for the partner that wasn't the one asking for this to be surprised, but then the kind of mature and healthy reaction, I would suggest, is to ask your partner questions, trying to find out, okay, what is it about marriage that would make you feel secure? What is it that you feel is lacking right now? And what does it mean to you to get married? You know, try to find out where's this coming from? How come now? You know, all of these things to kind of get a sense of what is going on with your partner. And then trying to kind of sharing like, okay, well, let me take this in, maybe give me a day or two to think about it. And I'll get back to you with what I think, because we weren't maybe talking about this up until now. But it just was so messy of him just trying to immediately stifle her desires and be like, no, we're good the way we are, and dismiss her desire to move forward in the relationship, to get married. I mean, I say move forward because for me it is an important step in a relationship. So I'm talking from a subjective lens, but I understand that it's not all relationships have that goal in mind. And what matters obviously in a relationship is that you and your partner are aligned in your goals, right? So now the goalpost has changed, it seems. She fixed her aim and he's like, wait a minute, I gotta fix mine too. But there's nothing wrong with what she did. I think she did the right thing as well, the character. She decided to move out, basically, to live with her friend for a while. And she also wanted to stop physical intimacy with this partner until they make things official in her eyes. As a Christian woman, she just woke up and realized, I shouldn't be intimate with you physically because that's something that's reserved for my husband and you're not my husband, which also kind of feels, on the one hand, it feels manipulative because it's like, if you want this, you know what you have to do, you have to marry me. But on the other hand, I also understand how you can be like, you know what, there are certain things I'm more comfortable engaging in within the confines of certain types of relationships. You know, I'm comfortable sharing personal things about my life and family with a friend and not just a colleague or an acquaintance. You know, certain titles and certain types of relationships can, you know, lead to certain activities. I don't want to be physically intimate with somebody that is not, you know, officially linked to me in a you know, capacity. So back to Aunt Viv. She decides to step away. She decides to end her physical relationship with this man. Okay, sure. Give him some time to think, but think for yourself as well. Is this a relationship you want to move forward on? I think that she didn't spend enough time, in my opinion, thinking about the relationship that she currently has with this person and determining whether or not she has seen enough and has experienced enough to decide this is a person I do want to step into marriage with. Because the way he reacted made me feel like there must be other red flags homegirl was not looking into. There must be other things where this isn't actually a partnership. Because a true partnership, I'm sorry, would not react like this, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but you tell me in the comment section, am I wrong? So like I said, yeah, during her time apart, she wasn't really weighing her options or doing an autopsy of the relationship up until this point. and reading the book, which she could have done, to read the book and really evaluate her relationship and to figure out if this is really the person she wants to marry, if there are other maybe red flags that she wasn't really giving enough attention and importance to, right? And then at the end of the movie, obviously spoiler alerts, if you're watching this, they're gonna be spoilers, okay? We're gonna get into it. Near the end of the movie, her mans comes to her and tells her,
Miss you, Brenda. I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't even play.
That's what this is about? Basketball.
No.
Not.
Look, anything good doesn't feel good if you're not there too, right? I don't want to do life without you, baby.
I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't perform as an athlete, I can't breathe without you in my life. So clearly, since I am so codependent, this clearly means that we should be married. Oh, you talking to me? Sir, get out of here. Scram. What are you talking about? Listen. You out there who thinks, oh, these words are so beautiful. What I heard was a you problem, not a me problem. You can't eat, you can't sleep, you are distraught without my presence in your life. Again, that's a you problem. How does this affect me in any way? All I'm hearing is a man, who's codependent, who is saying what she wants to hear to feel important in his life, alluded to the fact that he was reading, as she called it, her book.
You read my book?
Yeah, cover to cover. I analyze some things too.
It's not your book, it's the book, okay? Let's calm down out of here. But yeah, so he's reading the book, which again, this is what players do to keep you subdued. Unless y'all didn't know this, come on, let me peek game for you real quick. A person who is playing you, usually men, hetero men play women in this way, but no one is absolved of heathenry. No one is safe, okay, out here in these streets. They will find out things about you, what you like, what appeals to you, what you need to hear, in order to tell you what you want to hear, in order to subdue you, to win you over, and to get what they want from you in the end. So what I'm hearing is homeboy's like, oh, this is the playbook to get her to think that I'm the perfect partner for her. So if I just spit out a few lines from the book, that's going to be enough to prove to her that we should get, like, I'm ready to get married and that I'm a good husband. And what a lot of players will do is maybe they will propose, but it's gonna be another 4-year engagement on your hands. It's gonna be a beautiful rock, but it's gonna stay there for a while and accumulate dust while he continues to make a fool out of you and to use you and to have all the things that he wants from you without giving you the commitment that maybe he's afraid of, that maybe he just doesn't want, that maybe absolves him from any real responsibilities and liabilities and keeps him kind of clean when he's out here in these streets being an athlete, playing the game and not basketball. So that's why I'm saying that he was giving player and not at all giving healthy relationship partner. Here's what a healthy partner would have done: message you, call you, to be like, can we talk? Somebody who wants to get consent from you. But obviously it's a movie, so the grand gesture of showing up as she's exiting work in distress for her love and inviting her to a soiree, yes, it's cinematic. For cinematic and entertainment purposes, that's fine. Nothing wrong with showing up in person. I just thought, that's a bit brash and bold, just to come and say nothing to me. Okay, and then just to invite me to an evening that you're hosting.
Look, I know that you're angry. I'm sure you have your doubts, but tonight's my retirement party, and I'd really love it if you come celebrate with me.
You said this wasn't about basketball.
It's not. It's about trying to get back to the way things were.
Obviously, the subtext of this, like, I can't live without you, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Could you come to this party that I'm hosting tonight? The subtext is obviously, as a woman especially, we read into these things, is, oh, he's going to propose tonight. But before we even get to that stage, honey boo boo, you need to have a conversation with this man. He needs to, talk about why he was so reticent and reluctant to discuss the idea of moving forward on marriage. Why was he kind of negotiating you out of it? Is it fears? Is it blockages? What are his thoughts now that he's had time to think about it? What does it mean to him to get married? Are you guys on the same page? What are his long-term goals and visions for y'all's relationship in concrete words? Can he actually tell you? What are his intentions in being with you? What does he want? What does he like about you? What does he love about you? What does he actually love about you? Not what you do for him, but what does he love about you? I didn't really hear him say nothing about her. He talked about himself. I can't live without you. I need you. Okay. Again, you problem. And I'm mentioning this because this is a particular thing that I would fall for when I was dating heathens and hoes out here. I would fall for the words. And there was a lot of The Crow and the Fox. It's a French fable. It's very famous. There was a lot of crow and fox in this movie. You know, the fox telling you what you need to hear.
Crow, sing for me, baby.
The crow, so flattered, forgets that it has cheese in its mouth, opens its mouth and sings, lets the cheese drop. The fox swoops in, grabs the cheese, see ya pal, and runs off. Boy. And that is a beautiful fable, a great cautionary tale about flattery. How you really need to see flattery for what it is. And what helped me in dating with intention and seeing people for who they are was listening with both ears, eyes, nose, throat, all of my senses, and hearing someone when they come to you and they try to flatter you, what are they really saying? Flattery don't mean nothing. Even if they tell you things about you, yeah, so what? I think a lot of women are so swayed by other people's opinions. Women and men, but right now I'm talking to my girls out here. Y'all, we need to do better. And that's a lesson I had to learn. Reprogram my brain. When I hear a compliment, repeat, okay, that's just your opinion. That is your opinion of me. But that is not my opinion of me. That is independent from my opinion of me. But you've got guys out there who have nothing to offer you besides wasting your time. They're going to take from you. Money, time, resources, your body, whatever you have to offer, they'll take it. But they won't give you commitment, fidelity, honesty, transparency, money, time, romance. They will give you none of this in return, right? But they tell you words you want to hear.
You're so beautiful. You're so smart. You handle everything. You are just a light in this world.
And there was a time in my life when those words would touch me and I'd be like, wow, he sees me. Oh my God, he really cares about me. No. That's great. I'm glad that you notice the things that I already know about myself. Yes, I know I'm great. I know I'm beautiful. I know I'm great. I'm fun. I know I'm helpful. I know I'm smart. It's nice and thank you for the compliments. But again, as my girl Odette in The Swan Princess would say, what else?
You're beautiful.
Thank you. But what else?
What else is there?
And so to wrap up on Aunt Viv and Scottie Pippen here, I didn't see anything that constituted a healthy relationship built on partnership, honesty, transparency, communication, and moving forward. It was solely based and built on faith. And what is faith? It's trusting without knowledge. So it's I don't know anything, but I'm just gonna move forward and have faith that this marriage is gonna work. Okay, if you want a faith-based marriage, good luck to you. Now, obviously, she's been with him for 4 years, so it's not like she doesn't know the person. But again, sometimes you get in a relationship and you are 4 years down the line and you've gotten so complacent and comfortable and cosplaying as she has a wife because she thinks if she acts like a wife, he'll marry her. You've been auditioning for so long that you forgot, you dropped the ball basically. All right, let's talk about the single friend now. Dijonay, La Cienega Dijonay. So homegirl at first was depicted as somebody who's dating fine. She seemed happy and stable. We see La Cienega go on a date with a guy. First of all, hello Shania Twain. That don't impress me much. I love the outfit. Chef's kiss. So the guy she's dating asks her if she likes to run. She says, oh my God, I love to run. He said he's training for a marathon. She said, oh my God, I can run 60 miles, 40 miles, no problem. I'm not a runner. and I deal with kilometers in Europe. So she mentioned that she can run 40 and 60 miles. I had no idea what that meant. So I went online and I asked the Google gods, what does that mean? And apparently it's like the average marathon is usually like 20 miles, 26, 25, whatever. And she's talking about running 40, 60 like it's nothing. Again, the scene is badly written, okay? You have to think of your audience here. He hears this and he's like, He gets up, he goes, pays the bill, homeboy ditches her, okay? What would have been helpful for the audience's sake was just one line from the guy she's dating being like, 40 miles. What kind of marathon have you run? The average marathon is 20 miles. I've never run 40 miles in my life. How do you do this? Kind of challenge her on her bull, you know? For her to kind of scramble, and in her scrambling, he can be like, you know what? Okay. I understand you're nervous and you're trying to impress me by lying, but I personally just don't feel comfortable dating somebody who's this comfortable lying when we don't even know each other yet. So I don't know what else you're gonna try to lie about to enter into a relationship with me. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna have to call it a night. Don't worry about dinner, it's on me. Enjoy your evening. I've gotta go. Bye. At least give her the courtesy of letting her know. It's just common decency and kindness. And I think in this day and age, there is an epidemic of cruelty in this world, an epidemic of hatred right now, worse than COVID. So I think it's kind of important for us to remind each other, hold each other accountable, and kind of encourage each other to own your ovaries and your balls. Own them. Hold them in your hand if you have to. And be an adult. If you're not adult enough to break up with someone, you're not adult enough to date someone, to be in a relationship with someone, to hold space and be interacting with another human's heart if you cannot be mature enough to be transparent and clear about your ending of your interactions with this person. Obviously, there are exceptions. If you're dealing with some scoundrel, you don't feel safe, a person is really acting a fool, you can bow out without telling them. But a date like this to just sip and ditch? Bruh, come on now. Come on, cuz. Shania Twain, how you gonna do my girl Shania dirty like this?
That don't impress me.
So anyways, La Cienega, she realizes when she's watching Michael Todd being interviewed, Michael Todd and wife, Natalie, being interviewed, well, especially Todd, not so much wife, she realizes that she's a chicken nugget. He uses a metaphor that I didn't really understand. I see what you're reaching for, but again, fix your aim. The aim is, again, off. You're aiming for a metaphor. I didn't think you landed on the right meaning, though. About being a chicken nugget when you're dating multiple people, it's like having many people reach their hand inside a bucket of nuggets and touch them and take a bite out of one and put it back. And so the next person who gets the bucket, you being the bucket, like you, the person dating many people, are the dirty bird bucket, basically. So demeaning. So we went from comparing people to burgers. Back in the day, they used to say, oh, she's a burger, to meat. And we're still on the meat metaphor, but now we've become chicken nuggets. So the people you're dating are people, but you, the person dating multiple people, are the bucket. What about them? Aren't they buckets too of chicken nuggets? So if chicken nuggets are touching other nuggets, you see what I mean? This is where it all breaks down and becomes ridiculous. And just a bad metaphor. I'm sorry. I respect Michael Todd a lot. And that's actually something I did not mention in the beginning. I read Relationship Goals. I watched the Relationship Goals video sermon series. I recommended it recently before this movie even came out to a friend of mine who is a Protestant, and it helped me. It actually did help me in dating with intention, finding the right partner, vetting a person in a relationship, and also realizing that I was absolutely dating the wrong people and not taking certain things into consideration. I'm not Christian, but I am spiritual. My covenant is law of attraction and just humanism in general, just like being a good person. You don't really have to be part of a club to be kind. And actually, the less you're part of a club, the more chances you have to think for yourself and feel for yourself and not be swayed by the wrong shepherd, which is often what happens in these cult-like institutions. So anyways, La Cienega thinks she's a dirty bird bucket, a chicken nugget bucket. And she feels like, oh my goodness, I need to change the way I date and need to be more intentional and more mindful with the way I choose my partners. La Cienega decides she's going to date with intention. So we see a scene of her, she's about to swipe on a guy because he has abs and he looks good. But she holds back and she's like, no. Fix your aim, girl. She made a vision board. She made this part of her life. She lets Aunt Viv know that she's coming back to church. She's gonna be, you know, a faith-based woman again. And this time, that's how she's going to find her man. That's nice. Obviously, it was propaganda in the context of this movie, but there's no problem. You can advertise for your group. But it just made me roll my eyes so many times in this movie. The heavy-handed kind of indoctrination and promotion that was going on was just like, okay, pandering, is that the word? I don't know, there's a word, but it's not coming to me. So anyhow, she's trying to date with intention, and on the dates, she's being very forward, open, honest, and transparent with her dates, letting them know she's dating with intention, no intimacy for 90 days, getting to know the person, and we see her go on a string of dates, and none of the partners want to sign up to this. The person I'm currently dating, when we met, I was in a very different state of mind. Obviously, for years, I was like, I want to be married. I want my husband. Crash and burn so many times that I was traumatized. And in my healing journey, I really learned to be single, to be happily single. Like they say in the Relationship Goals book, your single phase. Standing on your own 2 feet without needing somebody else to stand. And I was enjoying it. I was thriving. I was finally living my best single life, getting to know people, having fun. And then somebody serious came along. Yeah, when I stopped looking for him, that's when he came along. The cliche. That's why I say law of attraction, y'all. When you stop needing it and you just want it, that's when it comes in. That's the perfect place to be. And I told him up front, I'm having fun right now, but my intention is I would like to meet somebody who wants a serious relationship, because that is ultimately what I want. No pressure. I'm at this stage just getting to know people and having fun. Voila. Ultimate goal, relationship, right now, just having fun. He was like, me too. Cool. We were both 2 casual birds who then very quickly realized, dating what? You're the one. You're the one. All that to say, you decide what you put out there, but be really mindful what stage of your life you're in, what really is important to you, and if these are deal breakers or just like something you want now but you're not sure about, something that's not strong, something that could evolve, something you're still learning about yourself. So La Cienega tries to date. It doesn't really go well. She decides at the end of the movie, you know what, or the pre-end, I'm going to enter the single phase of my life. Like the book says, you know, before you go out there and you date with intention, you gotta be sure you're good with yourself first, that you are happily single. So that's a great message. Yes, absolutely. I wish the main character, Kelly, had this message. She should have opened up her ears wide to that message. But I will get to her in a second. But then we end the movie at a wedding, and we have exchange of looks between La Cienega and, like I said, news anchor Ted. So they're alluding to the fact that they're in a relationship now. So I guess she's out of her single phase and has started dating Ted from The Office. And why I really side-eyed this is because the only interactions we've seen with her and Ted have been her snapping at him, disrespecting this man to his face.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Is it, Ted? Is it? What's so happy about today, huh? Who's happy?
If you don't like Valentine's Day, how about Happy Galentine's?
Now, I know you are not about to say that word to me right now, Ted. Unless you want a self-tanning accident. Do you want to look like a pumpkin on national TV today, Ted?
Oh my God!
Our newly crowned boss.
The best lady boss in the biz.
The best boss, period. Ted, okay?
Sorry, Trace. Absolutely correct.
And this man saying out loud,
You scare me, and I like it. You scare me, and I like it.
You scare me. I like it.
again, why movie are you promoting a relationship based on fear? and disrespect. This girl is frustrated with him all the time. She snaps at him, she yells at him, she has no consideration for him. She treats him poorly in the workplace, and he likes being mistreated. He gravitates toward that because maybe he had a mother who was very severe and who whipped that boy into shape. And so he's like, oh, mommy, she treats me so poorly, just like my mommy did. Now I have to fight for your approval, and something inside of me is bubbling. Yeah, that something is toxicity. It's called trauma bonding. Yeah, trauma bonding. None of that looked like, oh, I'm rooting for these two. So for them to kind of allude to the fact that they're dating, I was like, okay, so she hasn't learned her lesson. She's gone desperate, and now she's just gonna date somebody because he's there. They lost my respect with that storyline in particular. She ended on a very respectable and admirable note. I'm staying single, and that's where it should have stayed. Meet somebody at the wedding that we see at the end.
How you doing?
You see her like buddying up and talking to some random new character. That would have been way more interesting and respectable and hopeful and healthy, and showed us that, okay, you don't have to date whatever's around you just because this guy is willing to date you is what it's giving. It's giving desperate. It's giving I've given up. It's giving settling. It's giving no. Which brings us, brothers and sisters, to the final relationship that we see illustrated. Kelly Rowland and Method Man. It was very hard for me to take Method Man seriously because when I see him, I think of... And I think of... That was his youth. He's a man now. He's an adult man. He also is a person, very smart, who has understood the game. You cannot be a rapper forever. And he has taken a page out of probably his friend Jay-Z and all the other rappers turned moguls, turned convicts. The name of the game is royalties. The name of the game is prime movie contract. Yes, get the bag, okay? Honestly, Method Man, he held his own. First of all, I didn't see no chemistry between these two. Zero chemistry. Second of all, his eyes were just too creepy. Third of all, honestly, his acting was good. It wasn't over the top. It wasn't void. He had emotions. They came out at the right moments. I just think his character was inconsistent and confusing. Honestly, he did a good job with what he was given. Kelly, on the other hand, and bless her soul, Mama is gorgeous. Mama is talented. They even got her to sing at the end because duh, it's Kelly. You get her to dance, you get her to sing. You can't have a movie without her doing both things. She's also an executive producer of this movie. So maybe she wanted to show off her skills, you know, update her CV, so to speak, and remind the girls, I'm out here, I'm an artist. I can do all the things. I thought she acted better than this. I don't know if it was a direction thing. She was giving Penny Too Proud. She was giving Gabrielle Union in every Gabrielle Union rom-com, but also giving campy.
What?
Look.
Nothing is above you.
I want this job. And I...
Don't leave her hanging, Big Daddy. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I am an owl. So if I'm not the obvious choice, who?
I love Kelly Rowland, and I think she has a lot of potential, and she could be, sure, the new Gabrielle Union, because I don't know where that woman went, but she needs to learn to pull back. You know, as far as I'm concerned, that's a compliment because there's something to work with. She has raw potential. Now, she was giving face, she was giving outfit, she was giving just gorgeosity on 1,000. Let's talk about her love story now, because what the F? This was the least aspirational love story out of all of the love stories, even La Cienegas. I had more hope for her and Ted than I did for Kelly and Method. So like I said, Kelly is career-driven boss woman. She keeps telling people throughout this movie her goals and her priorities right now at this stage of her life is her career. She wants to be a showrunner. She wants her boss's job. He's going into retirement and she was confident that this position would be hers. Her character is so difficult, but it was also warranted in my opinion because the people around her were extremely frustrating. This woman is telling you that her priority is this job and this promotion. Her friends are trying to convince her, yeah, but you're not dating anymore. So clearly you're miserable. And she's like, I'm not miserable. I don't want to date anybody right now because I'm focused on my career. I'm like, yeah, but it's been a while. So what's really going on? You're single. Meanwhile, her boss, he doesn't even know his grandchildren's name, and that's just like a joke that we just spit out. Oh, he doesn't know his grandchildren's name because he's so dedicated to his job, which is what we expect of old white men. But a beautiful black woman, you're just running away from the fact that you're single and that you're dying inside, screaming for help. That being said, there are people like this who do throw themselves into their career because they are emotionally stunted and they don't have the tools to deal with their emotional blockages. So they're pivoting. They didn't give us enough to be like, oh, this is a woman who did want a relationship, who did want a love life and kind of gave up on it and threw herself into work since her mother passed away, which is also kind of a thing they were kind of trying to pin all this emotional gunk on, that she is emotionally congested because she hasn't grieved the passing of her mother, somebody that she loved who cancer took from her, and that was unexpected. And she thought, well, it hurts to love, clearly, because love comes with loss. So I don't want to do that anymore. And also, she really liked somebody. Her first love was this guy, Method Man. And he cheated on her. And it broke her sense of trust and wanting to put herself out there. That is very valid. That tracks. Psychologically speaking, happens. Sure. Maybe that they thought that those informations were enough to justify that this woman right here isn't focused on her career. She's running away from her personal love life and her emotional problems. But at the same time, homegirl is allowed to focus on something else. She's allowed to not date. And especially if she is emotionally congested, the book itself, Relationship Goals, would say that she is the type of person who shouldn't be dating because she's got too much baggage. So for her friends to just be like, you should be dating, you should put yourself out there, you love him, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, stop. She shouldn't be dating. And if she says she wants to focus on her career, there is nothing wrong with that. Focus on your career, see where it gets you. Why not? There are so many women like me who are very happy in a relationship. This was my goal in life, is to be with a partner and to live life with somebody that I love with all my heart and who loves me in a very reciprocal and balanced and healthy way. That was my goal. Achieved it. Very fulfilled. Doesn't mean I don't want a career. I also want to be a woman who can take care of herself independently and financially. Also working on that. Two things can be true. But you can also be a woman out here who just wants to be a housewife or who just wants to be a career woman. Did y'all not see Barbie? Hello? You could be whatever kind of Barbie you want to be. And you could be multiple Barbies at the same time. She has a closet. Many outfits are available to us as women. That really annoyed me, that they were really trying to push her into this like,
you just want a career because you don't want to face your emotional baggage.
If that was the character's storyline, they didn't write that enough. They didn't make it clear enough that she just switched into careerist Barbie because she was heartbroken. And then we get to her relationship with Method, which we only see as combative. And so corny. So he comes into the picture saying, A, I want this job. B, I'm sorry for the jerk I was. C, I read this book called Relationship Goals. He's the one who pitches it to the boss to be like, hey, we're looking for a segment for Valentine's Day. And he says, I've been reading this book and it's changed my life and my perspective on dating and being out there as a man of faith. It's called Relationship Goals. And then he does a little commercial for Michael Todd, Pastor Mike Todd. So he says that he has changed and he really is sorry to her. She doesn't want to hear it because she holds a grudge basically. And she really likes this grudge. But I get it because it's also kind of annoying because she really was focused on this job and aiming for it. And then out comes this guy who A, treated you poorly in the past, and B, is gunning for your job, for the one thing that you want. So obviously, one of us is coming out of this on top, and it's gonna be me. You wanna be on top? So like I said, Method Man keeps showing us that he is a changed man throughout this. She's just horrible with him. She is so rude. I understand, but girl, grow up at the same time. Fine, you're upset, you're immature, not a crime. unfortunately, a lot of adult people are like this. And he keeps consistently showing that he's at least trying to be a better person. But then we have this whole scene in the car where he gets a text message from a girl who calls him Big Daddy. So are you really dating with intention when you're out here? Clearly, it sounds like you're still being very physical and sensual with the people you're dating. Oh yeah, well, I mean, I'm mentioning this in case you haven't seen the movie. They slept together, okay? Yeah. They caved. They had a supposedly romantic date in a restaurant where, again, it was just the fox and the crow, and he's just, you know, schmoozing and flattering her, and she just hears what she wants to hear.
You got under my skin like a splinter from the first time we met.
Really? And she's like, oh my God, he says such nice things to me, which means he must love me, which means he's a good guy, which means I want to sleep with him. Girl, you're lonely. Have your cake. Eat it. That's great. Obviously, she tries to sneak out the next morning because she's like, I made a mistake. I slept with my enemy. And he's all like, what are you talking about? Like, calm down. Can we have a talk? I actually like you and I want to pursue something. Blah, blah, blah. And so out of this nothingness, like that great Air Supply song, the movie decides to make love out of nothing at all. And for her friends to say, you love him, where? How? How and where and when? For him to like her, given the person she was with him, is insane. Insane. Again, it follows the whole Ted loving a woman who just completely disrespects and mistreats you to your face. And maybe a part of him just feels guilty for having cheated on her. So he takes it as, I deserve this. So like some kind of masochist, self-flagellation. None of this constitutes the beginnings of a love story. Where's the healthiness in this? And her at the end just flipping on a dime out of nowhere. It didn't make no sense. It just felt like they had to wrap up the movie so she comes to her senses and realize at some point in the early stages of the movie, she tells him, if you really are sorry, you will back out of this job that I'm trying to get and you will let me have it. As in, you will stop competing for the job I want. And he's like, work and love have nothing to do with one another, which I respect and I agree. You both deserve to fight for this job. This might be the job you want, but girl, he doesn't just owe it to you to give it to you just because. If he has other options, sure. But what if this is a job he wants too? Let the best man or woman win. Like, fairness, hello. So there's that, which I thought was an unreasonable ask on her end. Secondly, he backs out of the job and he goes like, you know, gets another job. She gets the job, right? She goes to him and she's like, what happened? Boss man told me that you stepped out of the running. He tells her,
I should have never tried to take this from you.
which I found kind of condescending in a way, because it's like, wait a minute, first of all, so you're confessing that you were here to compete against me specifically. Like, you weren't just trying to get the job, you were trying to take it from me. That's very specific. There's a nuance there. He chose those words. He didn't say, I'm sorry, I was competing for a job that you really wanted. I'm sorry that I made things harder for you to get a job that you really want. I tried to take this from you. So what I'm hearing is, oh, so you really were out here out of spite trying to take this job from me. And second of all, what you're saying is just my mere presence guaranteed that I would get the job, and you never had a chance with me in the running. It's basically what he's insinuating, you know, like, on your own merit, you weren't going to get this job. All I needed to do was show up, and I was clearly going to take it from you. So there was no apology, just a realization that, yeah, no, I shouldn't have just come and taken this from you, you know. It's just, I don't know. For me, that just was like, woo, subtle burn, subtle condescension. A sprinkling of entitlement, salt-based sprinkling of entitlement right there. I wasn't feeling it. So after this, we have the typical rom-com scene where she realizes she's in love. Oh my God, he did this bold thing. He gave me a job. He gave me a chicken nugget. I love him. You know, her goons encourage her to do the rom-com gesture of running to stop him because you realize that you love him because he did a kindness in stepping out of the running, and you got a job by default, not because you owned it and you deserved it. And to be honest, me and my sister were watching this movie and we're like, actually, he seemed more qualified than she did. He wasn't saying that out of condescension. He was actually right. He seemed more qualified for that job than she did. She must run and stop him from taking the plane. And so she runs down the airport to find him, and she does something that is egregious. Not rom-com material, but extremely horrendous in my eyes. She sicked, like sicking a dog on someone. She sicked airport security on him and told them, I saw that man put something questionable in his bag, so you must detain him. She sent the cops on a black man at an airport. Oh! How this man could ever... Okay, so it's like, look at everything that's been happening from Method Man's perspective. This woman fights you to your face, disrespects you every chance she gets, demeans you to your face, calls you by your name every chance she gets, fights you on everything y'all have to work together on, sleeps with you and then runs away because you are a plague and a virus. Then she calls the cops on you, a black man at the airport, treating you like a terrorist.
That's true love, huh?
I can't believe she did that, and I can't believe they thought that this would be funny. There was nothing funny about that, especially now when we're dealing with ICE running up on people in America and acting a fool. I just can't. I can't. So anyways, like I said, after all of this, Mama launches into one of the worst rom-com speeches I've ever heard. It was as bad as that movie with the jeans girl and that boy that looks like Captain America, but he's not. Oh my God, that movie I need to review as well. The speech at the end was atrocious. It was one of the worst rom-com speeches I've ever heard. And here again, Gabrielle Union makes a speech where she starts with, I hate you. I love you.
You know how I hate you.
Okay, this is starting well.
I think it's hate, love. I hate, love you very much, Jeremy. I didn't mean for this to happen. I just been so busy putting up walls and making lists and throwing myself into work so this wouldn't happen. I am terrified of another person holding my heart in their hands. But when I got what I wanted, it didn't feel like I thought it would, because success just isn't enough without someone I hate, love, to share it with.
Mahogany. Nice.
You were right about the book, about the story, about us. I see you're the man for me, and I really hope you're not too late.
A guy comes to me and says he loves me. I'm sorry that I'm evoking so much turmoil inside of you. Clearly, if you feel so crazy about me, that's a you problem. Figure your ish out. I'm looking for someone who actually appreciates me for who I am and that I appreciate, and we have a clean fuel kind of relationship and not a toxic petroleum gas, fumes, black smoke, lung cancer type of relationship is what it was giving. Love is supposed to be pleasant. If you don't like liking me, don't. Just don't. Thank you very much. And to these beautifully romantic words, what does our leading man say to her?
You could have stopped it, you were right.
That is wow. So he doesn't care about how she feels. He doesn't care about how she treated him. All he remembered and boiled her speech down to were the words, you were right. It's a no for me on relationship goals, and this relationship, no, not a goal at all. You have a woman who is intolerable and has so much therapy ahead of her, so much work to do on her conflict resolution, on her anger management, on her communication skills as a whole. She needs to work on who she is as a person and figure out how to be a partner in a relationship. Not what she wants from it, but also how she can support somebody, because she is unsupportive in every way. There's nothing that gives wifey material in this woman in this movie. And him, he gets mistreated and he's just like, I love it. He says he's changed, but we see that he's still dating and being physically intimate with people. I don't have any problems with that. I was dating that way too. He was saying one thing but doing another, inconsistent in his own way. Soft condescension here and there, entitlement here and there, self-centeredness, and just the fact that her agreeing with him was enough for him to be like, oh, I want to be with this woman, is seriously disturbing. So he also needs tons of therapy to figure out what's going on there. What mother wounds have you not healed from, sir? And another gripe I had with this movie that I've also just remembered. Gabrielle Union's character has a list. She has devised a list of what she wants in a partner, and I felt attacked in this because I had a list. I had, over the years, curated a list of what my ideal partner looked like, as in characteristics, and what my ideal relationship felt like, because according to my covenant, like I said, law of attraction, to manifest in your life, you need to know how what you want feels and vibrationally align with the feeling of what you want, not the thinking of what you want, not the idea of it, but the feeling of it. If you can feel good about what you want, it's like you're just, fixing your aim. You're aiming in the right direction. Because when you feel bad, like this girl, like Kelly Rowland in the movie, her speech at the end was giving, her aim was off because she was in vibrational alignment with what she doesn't want, what she hates, not in alignment with what she loves, with what she wants. And so I made lists. I made lists of non-negotiables, of things that I absolutely are mandatory in a partner for me, in terms of looks, in terms of personality, in terms of behaviors, in terms of values. It wasn't like a 70-page report like hers was. But I made a list because I felt it was important, and I had dated enough to test the waters and see, can I date outside of my preferences? And there's certain things I just am not comfortable for. And I understood and respected that. If I'm not comfortable with it, what is the point in forcing myself to date a type of person I don't want to date? Just because of what? Optics? Of giving myself more choices? Here's real faith-based dating. It's knowing what you want, knowing what you don't want, but like I said, more importantly, being laser focused on what you want and what you're open to, what feels good for you, and moving in that direction. And faith means trusting that if you want that, it's because it resonates with you and that it's out there waiting for you. So I actually did practice true faith-based dating. I had faith in what I wanted. A person of a certain height, a person of a certain look, a person with certain values. And guess what, honey boo-boo? 99% of my list, my current partner matches that list. The ideal partner list, 99%. And in the ideal relationship list, I haven't looked it over, but I'm pretty sure it's 100%. I would say even 150%. I gained things from this relationship that I couldn't even have anticipated. But technically, they fall under the categories of how I wanted to feel in the relationship. How I wanted to feel: secure, happy, lighthearted, fun-filled, connection, complicité, that French word again. I found it all. So I'm an advocate of having that list, but being very clear, not just like, I'm superficial and I want these things, blah, blah, blah. But like, what is really important? Mandatory requirements, your non-negotiables, and be clear about those. Because there are some things that we think are non-negotiables, we think we absolutely want in a partner, but not really. When it comes down to it, there are certain things that are more important than others. You might think, I really want somebody who comes from a wealthy family, or like she said, both parents are still married or whatever. But in the end, you might meet somebody who comes from a broken home, but he has done so much growth work in his life that he is so respectful, has developed the tools to communicate, to conflict resolve, to support you as a partner. You guys connect on a deep soul level, on an emotional level. He is emotionally intelligent, or but they are emotionally intelligent. They are family oriented. They exhibit so many other things that are actually more important than the fact that their parents couldn't make it work, which in the end could impact how a person shows up in a relationship, but what's more important is where they are now, where they've come from, but what they did to get to where they are now. Them kind of poo-pooing on her list and making her get to the point where she rips up her list and she stops having a list and requirements in dating is a no for me again, because I think it's important to have standards. Everybody should have standards. And I'm not of the school of thought of you can date anybody and you should be open to anything and anyone and everyone. We don't all have the same shoe size. So not all shoes are for all people. There's someone out there who is compatible with you, and there's no shame in wanting to meet that person. It's actually beautiful, and I pray and wish that everyone could be as aligned and as lucky as I have been, as fortunate as I have been, to get into a place where you receive the partner that is compatible with you. To conclude, in terms of learning about what to do, how to date and love, basura, trash. Entertainment, fine. Lots to talk about, like you see. And I think it did a disservice to this book that I think has a lot to offer people in terms of just dating in a more healthy way, in a more Christian, if you are a Christian way, sure, whatever. But just dating in a way that makes you feel good about yourself, if anything. Before this book came into my life, I definitely was dating poorly and not mindful of certain things and felt really bad about myself after dates and stuff, you know? So this series, I personally recommend also watching the Relationship Goals YouTube playlist on the Transformation Church channel. And you don't have to be a faith-based person, but I am a faith-based person. I believe in God. I don't define it the way Christians do, but I do believe in the God frequency. As a person who thinks faith and being connected to something bigger is important for me and part of my existence, if that's something you're curious about, you're open to, or you already are that kind of person, I definitely think Relationship Goals is really interesting and worth investing in. Another book that has absolutely transformed me in dating and put some logic and I would say scholarly approach to dating in my dating has been How to Avoid Dating a Jerk. That has been very, very important. I actually gave it to my sister and she has been reading the book and has also attested to how it has really shifted her focus, her perspective on dating in such a deep way. And I think it's going to transform the way she dates. And that also is a book I would highly recommend if you are single and ready to date and date with intention and date healthfully. If you're actually looking for a healthy relationship, I recommend those books. Relationship Goals, How to Avoid Falling in Love with a Jerk. Those two books really helped me personally transform how I dated. Anyhow, that is all I have to say on this movie. If you've seen Relationship Goals, I would love for you to let me know what did you think in the comment section. And if there are any other movies you would like for me to break down, especially the characters and the relationships, the do's and the don'ts. I have quite a few movies that I would like to tackle in the pipeline. They're coming, so I highly recommend you subscribe to this channel, Angel Says, if you haven't already, and hit that like button, please. Thank you. If you liked what you saw and you gained something from it, share it with a friend as well. This was fun. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that it brought you something, and I will see you in the next video. I'm Angel signing out. Bye.